Alright, let's try this again. Let's hopefully... Yep, we should be live. We should be live. Just refreshing my live streams. See how it looks. Alright, we should be live. So, haven't uploaded in a while. Thought I'd jump on, do something completely different than what this channel's used to. So we're going to focus a little bit more on stocks, cryptos, equities, futures, stuff like that. And I figured, you know, it's the first of the month, it's Labor Day. Why not hop in and just take a overall look at the market, what's going on. A lot of people are scared, bearish, especially in crypto. You know, Bitcoin, if we take a look, I mean, this thing just rocketed to 124 and then just came down and crushed everybody's dreams at 109. So, you know, we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about ETH, all the digital asset treasury companies that are coming in the market, like Bitminer, Sharplink Gaming, ETHZilla, just absolutely rocketing from like 1,500 to like close to about 5,000 the past couple months. We'll take a look at like the S&P 500, NASDAQ. Obviously, I mean, up only. If you ever bet against America, that's honestly on you. Just absolutely amazing. This was like peak cinema when the tariffs got announced. And what was the drawdown? Like 20%, and then it just rocketed 34%. Great trade right there if anybody ever took that. Honestly, I'm just all over the place. So let's kind of take a look at the king, Bitcoin. Honestly, I'm just gonna open up fresh layout just so we don't have all this extra noise on the chart. It's gonna take forever. Alright, we're just gonna clear this up. Just play around the cloud structure and everything. Alright, let's go Bitcoin here. Should be good right here. Honestly, let's just take like a big picture view of it and then start going lower, because I feel like a lot of times like people are just so focused on the 15 and the 5. Everybody wants to be a day trader. Everybody wants to, you know, think that there's some quant and try to do technical analysis on like a 5-minute. And there's nothing wrong with technical analysis in my point of view, but you know, I don't think my problem with technical analysis is thinking like you can be a great trader just doing technical analysis and not looking at anything else with a market that is so advanced. Like maybe in the 80s you could have done that, but nowadays I think with all the options, all the futures, like, you know, you might have like a great trend line or whatever, and then you're like, oh well, like let me long this is a good place, and then you just get absolutely destroyed by a liquidation wick or something because somebody on the futures platform just wanted to absolutely wipe all the open interest. But we'll get into that a little bit more. So yeah, big picture, sitting at 109. Honestly, this is probably one of the last places we want to see price before being a little bit more cautious. Overall, like my view, I think we're still going higher into Q4. Obviously, if you're into like crypto, you might be on X, looking at crypto Twitter, whatever. Lot of bearishness. Everybody's just like constantly saying like, oh, you know, this is the top. Like they're trying to do some analogies of like this like double top right here is like something similar that we saw like in 2021, which, you know, 2021 was just an anomaly in all itself. Like, this whole situation right here, that was just all, like, money printing from COVID. This fucking drawdown right here, and then back up. I think it was down 50% and up another 60%. That was all FTX, Alameda just scamming the market. Honestly, we should have broke down right here. And then they started stealing customer funds and fucking pumped it. What is this? 132%, 135, 133%, however you want to call it, whatever. Absolutely scammed. You know, you guys know what happened here. Full market blowdown. Luna, Terra, FTX, XYZ. Tom Brady lost his money right here. And then we obviously got this institutional bid, and yeah, it's definitely been up only, but I just don't know why people are going to be so defensive right here. I think we kind of saw the same thing around here. Like, at 109, everybody kept calling for like 120 plus, and we completely blew down. And then like at 75, people were calling for 60. People were calling that the market was, like, the cycle was over. We went from like, what, 75 all the way back up to 120. And people are once again like trying to say that this is the top of the market. So they were wrong here, they were wrong here, and we're gonna trust them right here. I really don't think so. Obviously we have the Fed cuts coming into September. There's definitely a very high probability. I'm gonna pull this up. So if you ever want to see what the Fed now CME, if you want to see what the futures traders are betting on, and betting, I'm not meaning sports betting, I'm actually talking about putting the money and opening up positions on interest rates. This kind of shows you the percentage of how the market is seeing it. I have no idea why it's so slow. It's probably because I'm streaming right now. All right, so yeah, we're at 89% for 89% chance that we are getting a 25 basis point cut in September. So we're gonna unlock a whole bunch of liquidity here. The market. Let me step back. So if we really like think about what's going on here, and kind of have to go to the little bit of a closer range. So where was this? Pretty sure this was it right here. So this is, what was this, Jackson Hole? Let me see. When was Jackson Hole? So we can really. I don't wanna look at the wrong time frame. Whatever it was. Can we see? I think you could probably see it better on ETH. Right here. This I just know this. So Friday the 22nd. I think this is a better way of looking at it right here on ETH. I don't know. Is this better here? God, this is a horrible chart for Bitcoin, honestly. Well, this was Jackson Hole right here on Bitcoin, but honestly, I just think the ETH chart just illustrates it better, so maybe we'll just do that. So here we go. So obviously, market was up only grind. I know I've just like completely rabbit holed everywhere. And let me get back to the basic picture of talking about interest rate cuts and why I think it's bullish going into Q3, Q4. Institutional grind up. Okay, cool. Digital asset companies. Hello, Razer. We're topping off at 447. Obviously, market kind of drew down a little bit, and we got this amazing announcement out of Jackson Hole that the Fed is open to lowering interest rates. And absolutely, like, if you slept on this, like, you're just like, you're gone. You missed the train. But obviously, we retraced back. So another reason why you don't really want to FOMO into this. But the market literally just priced in the cuts right here. I mean, we shot up 12%. Obviously, a lot of interest in the futures market has been opened up on high leverage, and this is just a market kind of closing it out. So we're back at this like same spot, and the overall like thing that I'm trying to get here, I know I've just been everywhere, haven't really had my coffee yet this morning, so nobody was calling for a market top right here, okay? Nobody was calling for a market top over here, but now they want to call a market top right here. And nobody was calling a market top here at 5,000 either. Everybody was super bullish. Everybody was saying $5,000 ETH waiting room. We're going to go to 6,000 shortly after. And the market literally just corrected. I mean, even if we take from the top wick, like 11%, and people are trying to call the top here, I really don't think so. I think this was just the market taking off risk going into Jackson Hole. All right, Razor, you're messing up my stream here. Get that out of here. I have no idea what that popped up. They took off risk going into Jackson Hole. They heard exactly what they were hoping to hear, and that is the opening of rate cuts. And now people got super bullish, open up high leverage, and absolutely got wiped out, and we're kind of above like this little value area that we have been like in before Jackson Hole. So definitely not bearish going into Q4. I mean, obviously you want to be cautious at how you position, especially my personal view is that we're definitely in, inning 8 of 9 in baseball terms. I'm definitely not putting fresh capital into the market at this point. I'm also at the point where I'm not advising my friends and family to, dump large amounts of money into crypto. I think there's definitely going to be plays like, you could probably put like, depending on, how liquid you are, you could put 1,000 into Doge and see if it goes to $1. I'm not really going to talk about like, meme coins just into this, in this live stream right now. I think I kind of want to focus more on ETH and Bitcoin and some of the just regular big names in the market like Nvidia, and then future episodes I'll probably just dwell into those. So overall, I feel like I've just been going on in circles around this. Top's not in. Bitcoin, sorry, let me go back here. Top's not in for ETH. Top's not in for ETH. 100% top is not in for ETH. I think we see a lot more institutional demand for ETH, especially going into Q3. Bitcoin, I mean, you could definitely see what's been happening with Bitcoin. And honestly, we started off this conversation with like how awful the chart was. Like ETH, I guess I'm just gonna have to go between these two. ETH was made an all-time high, well not all-time high, but barely all-time high, kind of drew down, and then just boom, massively went up 12% on a Jackson Hole announcement. I mean, you compare that to Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin hit all-time highs, was selling off, and the best thing that Jackson Hole could do for ETH or Bitcoin was 3%. I mean, that is awful, and we're trading lower. I mean, that's why, if I look at ETH, yeah, we're trading lower than the, Jackson Hole announcement here, but we're still trading above what it was before Jackson Hole. Compare that to Bitcoin. This was Jackson Hole. Like, I would expect, if this was the same structure as ETH, us to be trading somewhere around here, 112, 114. So, two ways of looking at this. One, you would probably say that the Bitcoin strength is going down, and we're probably in this altcoin phase of later stages of the market. That could be one way of thinking about it. I think that's maybe a little too simple. I think Bitcoin definitely has another leg here. Not gonna lie, and honestly, I think the better way of looking at this is maybe it's mispriced. Maybe this is the trade. The trade is to long right here and get somewhere into, I mean, that's a 4% trade, not like super fucking fancy, but if you have size or leverage, even at like on a 10x, I think that's 30 30% returns. And I mean, you know, maybe that's the take you take, but overall, I don't think the top's in for Bitcoin. Don't think the top's in for ETH just yet. I think we are getting to those higher frothy periods, but definitely not tops on either one of those. S&P, let's take a look. S&P, let's take a look at NASDAQ going into Q3. So this is where, you know, your trad finance people are going to start talking about stock market seasonality and how September is not good. And yeah, I mean, I would be pretty cautious with a chart looking like this on the day scale, on the 1 hour. I mean, we're still like, I don't like this. I don't like these like drawdowns, especially like if you take a look at like just the S&P 500 on a long time frame. It's just a grind. It's just a constant grind, and these wild swings, like, not a big fan of them. I'm just looking at seasonalities right now. I'm trying to pull up the just so you know, I'm so unprepared for this stream. I'm spitballing. I said, hey, I want to stream. Let me just get on. Let me just chit chat. Don't even know how long I've been streaming for. Got 2 viewers. That's awesome. 2 viewers more than I thought I would. But there's definitely some plays here. I think, you know, I'm just kind of thinking about like really what I want to talk about and not just like mumble random stuff. I think I'm gonna save this for a second video that I'm just gonna like prep a little bit more. There's definitely some stocks that I'm keen on shorting. There's definitely some stocks that I think have some upside, but spending so much time speaking on crypto, I don't want to like make this like a big old jambalaya and put equities in there. I might just make a second video after this, depending on how I feel. Maybe get a second cup of coffee, wake up. I guess before I end the stream, let's take a look at Sol. Dude, so this thing, fucking hated coin. I mean, I think it was loved coin. I mean, if you bought it at 8, fucking loved it. Are we in log? I don't know. Yeah, we are in log. It's like, this is a wild chart. I have no takes on this chart. It's absolutely wild. Just readjust this. My only comments on this, dude, it has to be going higher. I mean, if you ask me for a quant advice, I think like any institutional hedge fund would be like, what the fuck are you saying? It just has to go up. I think we've definitely seen the strength of Solana in the past couple of weeks with the ETH strength. It's been pretty fucking good. There's all these times, especially this cycle. This cycle has just been an absolute like clusterfuck. If you weren't positioned in the right coins, you just didn't fucking make it. If you weren't long Bitcoin from the start, I mean, besides like maybe like WIF and maybe other coins, like there's just bonk. There's just no movers. And WIF and bonk, those are Sol coins. There's just no movers. And then obviously Solana was like the insane trade this cycle. I mean, what you bought? Let's say you bought what was that, 20? I mean, peak of the Trump meme coin right here, 1200%, fucking insane. And I mean, this is just, I don't know if this is just because there's all these new Jupiter perps or what, but people have been getting carried out in body bags, like up 93, down 36, down 50%. I mean, this is while like Bitcoin and ETH rally or dive, up 50%, down 45. Dude, I mean, anything in this range right here, if you were even levered 5x and you didn't manage your positions, you got fucking rocked, dude. I got rocked, you know, not being careful with my leverage. So this has just been a market maker's dream. I mean, dude, this has just got to be the most hideous one. 130% up. Wiped all the shorts. Down 67. Wiped all the longs. So, why do I think it's going to go up? I think there's just more scamming to be made. You know, if we are in these later stages of the bull market where people's greeds just like are insatiable and like people are still like, fuck, like Bitcoin, you know, just went to 120, went down to like, I mean, call it round numbers, 100K. And I mean, honestly, I think it's going to go up to 140, 150 before the end of the cycle. The two, like, God, I always like get rabbit holed. But just speaking on that, like, look, Bitcoin, it was like at 60K last cycle, and everybody was like, it's going to 100,000. And then what happened? It fucking like fell through the floor. I think the target is always like 150K this whole cycle in the past 2 years. That's what people were saying. That's what people were analyzing and doing all their like analysis on. And now people are like 600,000, 500,000, or like 250,000. And I'm like, that's like the same shit we saw last cycle. So, yo, 150, that's what we started out. Let's just keep it at 150. Why are we moving our goalpost? So anyways, back to the thing. Bitcoin's not topped, ETH's not topped, Crime Coin, Solana definitely is not fucking topped. This stream's been going on for 20 minutes. I think this has been fun. 2 viewers, that's fucking sick. I had a lot of fun chatting. Gonna publish this. Hopefully people like it. I might do a couple more of these. I mean, since this is a live stream, not an actual video, I'm just like, you know, data dumping. I think I'm gonna do a portfolio overview. I have a couple portfolios I've been managing, so I think it'll be fun to just kind of chat around my thought processes on building those and maintaining them. We'll see how busy I get. I was thinking of just doing weekly updates on the market. And we'll see what really sticks. And, you know, if people like my crypto stuff, I'll stick with crypto. If people are good about stocks and equities, we can definitely do that. I had a couple other things I was going to pull up on the stream today, but I was like, nah, save that for later. Talking about portfolios, like ETF portfolios, like if people want to like see like structuring just portfolios just straight with ETFs, I think there's like so much upside in doing ETF portfolios, especially for a high return but low, you know, minimizing your risk. I think a lot of people want to like margin trade, but like don't want to get blown out. And there's definitely a lot of levered ETFs that, if you really understand the concept, like you can take it a long way. We talked a little bit about rate cuts, prediction markets, the FedNow tool that I just showed, but I think I'll do a separate episode just strictly on rate cuts and like what are the implications to the market from those rate cuts that we're going to see in September. So I think that's going to be a good video probably in the next week. And also, like, this is complete boomer. Like, I'm talking about like internet magic crypto coins, but I'm also going to be talking about like dividend yield portfolios for income. I'm actually starting to build an income portfolio where, you know, I'm maximizing dividend and income ETFs to maintain a lifestyle. I think, you know, a lot of people will make some money in the market and either gamble it back away in the market or just cash out and like buy the fancy Rolex or the fancy AMG G-Wagon and realize that the money that you worked so hard or were so lucky to like make, it's gone now, and you just have like a piece of thing, you know, and not a lifestyle that you can maintain. So we'll get into that later. 24 minutes live stream. Let's fucking go. This was sick.